to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dunigan.
And we're coming back with another retrospect, going back in time with movies that lots of times are kind of forgotten back in the old days. Time that forgot these films, but we like to remember them. And even if they're movies we haven't seen, like this one, this is a movie that has been talked about, well, let's say it's talked about a bunch. I was going to say Kevin Smith brought it up a handful of times, and that's kind of where I got the idea of where this movie was. But it is one of those kind of movies that almost would feel like, I guess, in that category of like knockoff of Indiana Jones. Though interesting enough is when I read on there, it was in production before Indiana Jones, so go figure.
I think that a lot of people from Spielberg and Lucas's era loved those old adventure movie serials, and I think Indiana Jones is the one that probably made it popular again. But I bet if you look long enough, you could find a couple of things, couple years, maybe a decade before, if they were trying to reignite that.
Mm-hmm. But there is, if you go through like the 80s and early 90s, there's a lot of movies that kind of like do the Indiana Jones thing, and that's not a bad thing whatsoever. It's like one of those ones like when you got a good like style of filmmaking, like there is no reason why you can't use that and make more. It's kind of like Die Hard movies, you know what I mean? When people use like the Die Hard formula, it's a great formula. It never gets old, you know what I mean? Every movie that does the Die Hard formula generally, if they do it right, it works well because it's simple enough to use. But the movie we're talking about today is High Road to China, 1983, of Tom Selleck.
Take an adventure you'll never forget. And hold on to your seats. Tom Selleck and Bess Armstrong are taking the high road to China.
Let me get this straight. There are people trying to kill us?
The adventure takes them halfway around the world. From Istanbul to Waziristan. From India to Kathmandu.
You'll be my welcome guests for dinner.
Does that mean he's gonna eat us or feed us?
Too soon! You're dropping him too soon!
Now, take the high road to danger.
I'll wring your scrawny little neck.
Go on, do it! Do it, do it, do it!
Take the high road to romance.
Put your arms around me.
Tom Selleck and Bess Armstrong in High Road to China. Take an adventure you'll never forget.
Now, one thing I wonder is, why do you think a lot of... Because this was trying to start a franchise, didn't pick up. And this was even Selleck's, one of his favorite characters that he played. And he was pretty down that he could make another movie with this character. Why do you think that Indiana Jones is the one that had a little bit of longevity, and then you had Romancing the Stone, which wasn't as huge, but you're like, oh yeah, I like that one.
It's got a sequel.
Yeah, it has a sequel, so that got something. I mean, even in the 2004, 2005, they tried to do like an Indiana Jones ripoff in modern day, Sahara, or whatever it was, with Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like one of those ones, and like, Romance of the Stone, that's a perfect example of a movie that was a big deal in the 80s, but I think it's just as time has gone on, it just gets a little bit more pushed under the rug of, the stack of movies. But yeah, it's kind of weird, because it's even like, another movie that reminds me too, it's kind of in that similar Indiana Jones style, is like, you got the Rocketeer, and even the Phantom even has, like, they both have those elements. I mean, they use those old-fashioned pulp characters, obviously, before Indiana Jones, but, well, Rocketeer is actually more like modern pulp, technically, because it's like 80s. Whatever. They use that Indiana Jones style of filmmaking, almost. So that's the way you can almost kind of say it, and like what that sort of brought to the table and just kind of taking it to the next level. You could almost say Indiana Jones is what sets the adventure movie to a new height. Almost like how Star Wars would set, sci-fi movies to a new level. Indiana Jones sets adventure there, using things of old, but just bringing it to this really big level. And then I think this is, in my opinion, this is what has always made kind of Indiana Jones, like why it's such a perfect movie, is that it has a little bit of everything in it. It's got adventure, it's got horror, it's got romance, it's got comedy, You know, it's just got all the little elements of like filmmaking all in one. It's got action, it's got history, it's got storytelling, it's got, you know, different locales. There's so much going on in an Indiana Jones movie that you get a lot in one picture.
Now, part of me kind of wonders, because this is a movie that Selleck turned down. He turned down Indiana Jones to do this movie, High Road to China. And I can't help but wonder if, don't get me wrong, I love
Well,
Tom
he turned
Selleck,
it down
but
because he was doing Magnum PI. Because
Magnum PI?
His schedule couldn't make it so he could do. So he didn't technically turn it down. It was just more he couldn't do it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm wondering if Indiana Jones would have had as much longevity if it wasn't Harrison Ford. Because he's really what makes that character, and it's kind of hard to imagine anybody but Harrison. It's hard to imagine that in Harrison Ford. I can't fucking talk today. It's hard to imagine anybody else but Harrison Ford. You know what I mean?
Well, I can kind of see that, but, you know, I started thinking about that a little bit. I'm like, you know, I could see Tom Selleck do it. I could also see Burt Reynolds play Indiana Jones almost. I mean, like, it would be different, but it would still be kind of in that similar. I was picking, hell, Clint Eastwood could probably play Indiana Jones. That would be a fucking interesting looking one.
I know that Burt Reynolds is a great actor, but Burt Reynolds seems like he'd be coming in to teach class, hungover and all that shit. And there's that part where the girl is super making eyes at him, and she slowly closes her eyes and says, "Love you," on her eyelids. Like, I'm pretty sure Reynolds would be like, "Fuck yeah, meet me in my office after this class." And then the guys come in like, Indy, we're looking for the Covenant of the Lost Ark. Yeah, I'll get back to you. One sec, I gotta go fuck this 18-year-old.
It'd be like a 007 movie almost, is more what it would be like.
There'd be a lot more fucking if Burt Reynolds was Indiana Jones.
It's kind of funny to think that Harrison Ford is our little bit more, like, reserved actor.
He's your third choice. Well, I think the reason was because he was such a staple of Lucas's. Because he's like, okay, he was in American Graffiti, and then he kind of... Originally, he wasn't going to be Han Solo. He was like, okay, I'll come in and just feed lines to people and let them rehearse when you're looking for your role. And from there, he ended up like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm done looking. Because even Nick Nolte applied for Han Solo. He's like, fuck it, you just stay here. And then I think that after a while, they're just like, you know what? It makes sense if it's. I think it was at the time like it makes too much sense for Han Solo for Harrison Ford to be Indiana Jones.
See, Nick Nolte almost could be Indiana Jones too.
And that's even all right. That's Nick Nolte being Indiana Jones. That's him, like, you know, like that's him hitting on the girls in class and them just being like, no,
creeped out.
Dr. Jones, we're fine. Like, you sure I can show you all kinds of archaeological fossils back in my room, back in my office. Like, no, Dr. Jones, we're good.
Nick Nolte be the guy who's like, he literally be tomb raiding. I don't think he'd be doing it for like archaeological reasons. He'd be like, dude, you can't believe what I could sell this for in the black market.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Selleck is kind of like this weird middle ground between Reynolds and Ford.
Yeah, Zach. I think that there is a kind of a good balance there. All these pictures, Nick Nolte. Come on, short round, get your ass in gear.
Like, he didn't. It's not some kid that he just like that he saved. He's like, he's a kid he won like over like a game of like blackjack in Shanghai.
Yeah, like, I stabbed your father with a knife to get you, boy. You should be grateful.
Now drive my goddamn car. Here's a cinder block so your pedals so you can reach the pedals.
He's like, I actually just attached them to your feet. You can never take them off now.
Bright side, now you can go on all the roller coasters.
Here, put this jacket and fake beard on. We're gonna go take you to a strip bar.
Time to be a man, short round. But Dr. Jones. Boy, I said shut up. Put on this beard.
Put on this beard. You'll be like
You're still my designated driver.
You make rascals. You like those kids? I like them kids. They're funny.
Yeah, you may be... We may be going to get some titties in your face, but you're still my designated driver.
Plus, I also feel like Nick Nolte would just be calling him. He's like, come on, Gook boy, get over here. It's the 30s. I can get away with it. What? He's like looking at the camera saying this.
Steven just puts his hand in his head, just like, Nick, we talked about this. It's not in the script.
Yeah,
come on!
It's the time. Come on.
Just trying to make this shit real.
What do you think Indy does with a boy? You ever wonder? I wonder.
No, I don't have to wonder, because I know what he fucking does. He uses him as his driver, he's his sidekick. Yeah, what's he kicking, you tell me.
He's got a little kickstand, is that what you're saying? Because, just Short Round just sitting right next to him.
he's like, how do we get through one movie with this guy? How are we gonna do two? How are we gonna do two more after this?
Well, Short Round, I guess you're just not gonna be in the third one.
The kid didn't want to come back for the third one.
Yeah, it was one of those ones. He's like, no. It's like there was $1 million contract. He denied it at 12 years old, or he'd probably like 16 by that point.
He's like, here's Goonies. Okay, I'll take that.
Is there going to be a real creepy old guy who's kind of like an uncle figure that's going to try to touch me in the movie? No.
Well, you are going to have a deformed best friend that loves Snickers. That's a step up.
Yeah, it's a step up from the creepy uncle fella. He tried to adopt... Nick Nolte literally tried to adopt me during the movie process. I'm not too sure what that was about. I didn't know if he wanted to if he wanted me to clean his house, or if he wanted other pleasures.
He wasn't specific himself. I just know he tried to fit me into a fucking suitcase.
He thought it was funny to see if he could sneak me on board an airplane to save $20. And it wasn't that he couldn't pay the $20. It was just... He liked the idea that it was possible to sneak someone aboard.
He said, "Yes, this was before they actually had X-ray and all that." So, he didn't want to. He treated this as overhead. Just carry on.
But I guess going into High Road to China, this is almost how that movie sort of kind of starts off with a character sort of like that. Because Tom Selleck's just like this guy who's just like an alcoholic World War I pilot who's just kind of like, fuck it, what am I doing anymore? Got my planes and my mechanic buddy, but we actually have our own little boy here too, which God knows what happens to that poor Indian child. I thought about that. I was like, that kid, they fucking leave this kid behind. I guess we should just get started on how it gets to this kid part. But the main character technically in the movie is Bess Armstrong, and what it is she learns news that if her father doesn't appear and show that he's still alive, their whole business or whatever gets turned over to this other guy who's just a rich douchebag guy. And so to do that, she has to go on this quest to the High Road to China and try to find him and bring him back in 12 days or so on. So no pilot wants to do it. I like at first there's like an RAF guy who's like, "Yes, ma'am, I will take you on there. There'll be a great adventure." And she's like, "Oh, I need to borrow for a week." Oh, well, fuck that then. Just like sits down right away like, "No, I don't have time for that." I thought it was an overnight thing, Places to be, shit to do.
Well, they get across that Bess Armstrong. They get across that her character, she is a total rich girl who's been living off her dad's funds and all that. But she's been trying to take advantage of that to actually see the world and get cultured and all that kind of shit. Which that can still be annoying, but they kind of give her a lot of spunk. Like, she's not scared of anything. Like, she doesn't have a lot of... She knows how to fly a plane and all that because she had the money and time for it, but she's never been in any real danger. And she kind of senses and knows that she's in danger. Even though she's not completely prepared for it, she's still quick to adapt. So that's what's interesting about the character. And something I want to say, what makes this one stand out about amongst other Indiana Jones, well, I guess technically not a ripoff since it was in production before it, but I guess that same genre, is this one has much more of a focus on aviation and flying.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about it. There's a lot of really cool aviation scenes and flying of these all kind of like little biplanes. But, what was I going to... Oh, you know what she almost kind of reminds me of? She kind of has like a Laura Croft feel to her. Because she kind of, she's really rich, but she also has a lot of knowledge and skills, and she's almost not afraid to try things, you know what I mean? She's a pretty strong character. So no pilot will fly her there until she finds Tom Selleck, who's just the most alcoholic, almost like debauchery of a pilot you could think of. And she chooses him because that's the only choice for the time constraint. So, of course, like, he doesn't want to do it first, so he offers her, like, 100 pounds or something like that builds up. And he's like, "Oh, fuck it, we'll finally do it," and whatnot. Take some sips. He's like, "You know how to fly a plane?" Like, "Yeah, well, go show me. Let's go in this thing." And he just kind of, like, shuffles in with his mechanic kind of putting him in there and so on. And they fly up and just do, like, some stunts and so on. It's like, "Yeah, good enough. Let's do it. Whatever. I don't really want to, but my mechanic here is taking the deal. He likes it, so."
The thing about it is, it's not that... It's not that Selleck is a pussy. He's just more of just trying to be a realist about it. Like, so let me get this straight. You want to go to Afghanistan. You do. little rich girl who's never done any battle or seen any war or anything like that. You can see that Selleck's kind of haunted by the war. There's a part where they're talking about, oh, what about that time you killed like 12 different pilots? That was awesome, was it? They're actually... Wasn't that awesome, because the Germans were so desperate they started throwing kids in planes, and that's what I was going up against. And it was pretty easy.
And if you flew close enough, you could see the fear in their eyes.
If Nick Nolte was saying this line, he'd be like, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, oh my god, it was fucking like shooting fish in a barrel, exactly.
I was like the boogeyman to German children.
In fact, I like to show up in Germany out of the blue and sneak into their rooms and scare them and then run away real quick.
Well, real quick in Nick Nolte terms, not that quick. He's kind of a...
You guys shuffle.
If it's downhill, he can get some momentum on his side.
Yeah, a little bit younger Nick Nolte, I guess, but
oh yeah.
But this is the funny part too. Is
I forget he was young once.
It's like when they finally go, it's like there's pretty much these hired men from the other partner that's supposed to inherit the business, and they come after Bess trying to get her and kill her and so on. They kill her poor like accountant or whatever. It's fucking like takes a knife, like I'll save you. Oh, and fucking just dies. It's like, well, that really felt like that wasn't necessary for your life, but
her C-3PO.
yeah, exactly. And as they're taking off, the first thing that like Tom thinks is he's like, oh shit, whose husband was that? You know, God, let's get out of here quickly. And they just leave the poor, like, Indian boy there. And all you hear later on is, like, that Indian boy got interrogated. Like, how was that Indian boy interrogated?
When I first saw that kid, I assumed that kid was going to come along with them. Or maybe he's going to Sonic the Hedgehog on top of this biplane, like, stand up there, like, sit up there while everyone else is
or
driving
just, like,
or something.
Tom just stand on top like Sonic and this boy's flying it.
Arms, like, on his hips, looking bored.
Yeah, just, like, sitting there tapping his toes, like, come on. Come on, Tails.
Waiting. Yeah. No, so that means, yeah, because they interrogated that boy, which is like, God, I hope that kid's okay. I hope they didn't kill his mother or something. Because they're just hanging out at this house with this lady and her kid. And the kid's just like, hey, what's up, kid? Help us with all this mechanic shit. Right on.
You want a job?
Well, I guess you... Well, let me put it this way. I'm not really paying you. I'm crashing on your couch.
Yeah, come on, little Gungadin. Let's do it.
So the first place they go to is Afghanistan. It's all war torn, and they're fighting the British. And they get across early on that I'll say this: in the long run of it, we won't get to it. We'll build up to it. In the long run of it, you're like, there wasn't much of a point to that part. It was fun and it was enjoyable to watch, but you're like, that was really a big long fucking speed bump right there.
Well, they had to land at the British place to fill back up because they had these, the planes. They couldn't just keep going, and they didn't know yet that they thought that's where the father was in Afghanistan.
Is that where they said he was earlier on?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's
that's right. Yeah.
Sorry, but your father's in another castle.
Yeah. So they get there. Afghanistan's all war torn. They're going against the British and all that, and they're very much like there's this very stereotypical sleazy guy with a spray-on tan being like, look, you... Yeah, like, your woman looks me in the eye. I do not like that. You will work for us or you will die. Just trying to make him a whole, like, super, like, Jabba the Hutt-like and all that. At some point, his really creepy little brother wants to buy the woman. He's just, like, staring at her all, like, fucking, like, psycho-like from across the campfire, like, Durr, and he walks up, like, with a treasure chest, like he wants to buy the woman.
What I like too is like pretty much at first it's almost like, oh, we're gonna capture you guys and keep you and so on, and then like Tom Selleck turns around and like smacks her right across the head, or just like punches her in the face, not even like slaps her, like just pull up punches her, and the Afghan is like, you can stay here as long as you want. That's a man. He knows how to take care of his woman. She's like, oh, those 1920s ways.
And then
in Afghanistan.
And then, you thought it was bad in 1920s in America. Damn, yeah. No, and then at some point, he has this harem girl that's always with him, the big Afghan leader guy. And at some point, they get a moment alone with her, and she's like, your father is still alive. Because they hand a picture to the Afghan guy, he's like, oh yeah, he's dead. What? Yeah, he's dead. Died in an explosion. Don't know what happened. Anyway,
cool story, but that's about all I got.
We're gonna help you kill the British. You're gonna help us kill the British tomorrow, or you will die. That whole kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, you will use your magical birds and soar the skies. It's like, you mean a plane? No, I mean your magical birds.
Well, I like how he even says that, like, Tom Selleck's like, they don't know how a plane works to them. This is a wagon with wings.
Yeah, exactly.
No way this movie can come out today.
Well, this is, of course, it's like of the time. It's like, it's a period piece from the 80s, so it's like...
Oh, I know. I wasn't offended by the movie. I understood what it was trying. It was a period piece and set in the 80s at the same time, so I totally got all that. But this is one of those movies, if you showed, like, some, like, you know, feminist blogger on Tumblr, like, no!
Yeah, they'd have to do the thing where, like, they change it nowadays. Almost like, sort of like, whenever I think of movies, like, modern movies doing it kind of like that, it's like in The Patriot. There's always that one line in there where Tavington shows up. He's like, if you fight for the British Army, you will all be free. And the guy's like, we're not slaves here. The master pays us. It's like almost like, I mean, I know you want to say that just to be very like, this is 90s PC culture, but it's like almost like, yeah, that's a little stretch right there. Like, oh no, Mel Gibson's great. Shit, he let us be in his latest movie. Hell, we get to stay in the big house. I sleep in a bunk bed with him. It's fantastic. Tabington, what are you gonna provide, huh? You gonna up those?
Your own bed, and it's shaped like a race car. What?
Oh, get out! Get the fuck out! Really? I don't even know what a race car is, but it sounds fucking awesome. It's a race carriage, is what it is. You will have a twin musket on your bed.
Oh, fucking sorry, Mel. I gotta go with Malfoy's dad over here.
Yeah, good old Tavington. But then there's always like that kind of stuff, and that's the thing that's I feel like if there was a High Road to China nowadays, you'd almost have something weird like that would almost not fit for the 20s.
Definitely. So what ends up happening though? Their plan is pretty simple. It's like, okay, so here's what's going to happen. Your people are going to chill with us. You're going to go bomb the British. Here's a bunch of bombs. My guy is going to sit behind you with a gun pointed to your neck, just making sure you don't fuck up. It's like, okay, cool. I guess this motherfucker never learned what a seatbelt is. Whoop! And like spun the thing out, falls over. It's like, I still got the bombs. Start just bombing these fuckers right back.
You know, that's one of those ones where that Afghani guy's like, he clearly is like, shit, we really did not think this plan out. Like, I thought that bullying this guy would have done it. Nope. We just gave him a bunch of ammunition, sent him up above where he, there's nothing we can really do about it. And now he came back for revenge.
Then he just bombs them all. They sneak out of there with the girl who gave him told him where her dad is at and all that. And then they just sneak out because I forgot to mention they took two planes. The girl's flying one, Selleck and the mechanic in the other, and then this harem girl goes with them as well. They go back. Then they go to Dubai. And it's like you find out, she was once living here, and then she was enslaved by these Afghan warrior guys, and now they're back. They're having a reunion. Like, hey, where's my dad? Like, he's off in China now.
Mm-hmm. And, well, they don't go to Dubai. They go to.
Was it Dubai? Or was it?
No, because they go to like one of those southern Asian countries. That's all I know.
Oh, it wasn't Dubai.
Yeah, because they're not in the Middle East. They're like, they don't mention... If they mention it, I can't remember what it was, they go to like Laos or something like that, but maybe not Laos.
No, you're right.
Because they're all Buddhists there, and you can tell they have that kind of design and so on.
Ignorant American here. I was just thinking, I remember hearing Dubai in there at some point. They flew over Dubai on their way over there.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
They flew over Dubai, they were spotted in Dubai, and I guess it's two planes. Has to be one of two people, I guess. So
shit. Who's just randomly flying planes around at this time period?
They flew through Dubai. That's what happened. And then they ended up in, you're right, I don't remember what country it was. I just remember heard Dubai around that part somewhere. Because is that what Dubai looks like when I was watching this scene? No, but here's we never really talked about the rich douchebag.
Yeah.
The rich douchebag, he is like the most stereotypical, like, I am an evil, rich British person. Like, he always has his mouth partially open, like, bring me all the ham. I need a ham and a woman.
Yeah, and fix your stupid tie, you idiot. And there's this
I
poor
have
bastard
no
who's
toys
like,
left, sir.
he's like literally like trying to, he's always like bringing the news or whatever. Just like, well, we spotted them there, but you're gonna catch them? But we tried and it failed once again. He's like, you're just a fuck up is all you are. Bastard in a basket.
And he doesn't even have the knowledge that Daniel Plainview has. This guy,
No.
this seems like a guy who kind of stumbled into money, because whenever they show him, they never show him doing anything really.
He's like sleeping.
He's always like sleeping, or he's eating, or he's like building like a model ship or something like that. He's not he's not a real threatening villain, but I don't think he's really meant to. He's meant to be kind of like a red herring. Like, we assume this guy's the main villain, but then shit happens a different way as it goes on. There's a big thing at the end, like, I'm glad we watched this movie and I like this movie, but we get to a point like, what was the real point of that then? Because when they get to, it doesn't take they end up coming across when they're leaving. God, was Essa her name or something? It was the girl that got him there in the first, that got him to that Laos or wherever.
Yeah, I don't remember what her name is, but something like
they
that.
They get there, one of the planes gets destroyed, and they get into a big aerial battle with this other plane that's been tracking them down.
This German pilot comes to get them, because like that's like the last hired mercenary to come after them, is they hire this like German guy. It almost feels like, I'm not too sure if they're supposed to like know each other from World War I or something like that, but that's an awesome dogfight scene.
It's a really cool scene, yeah. They get in this cool dogfight, takes him down, gets back, and he says, the whole time when they're leaving, there's some guy shooting at him. Selleck's like, oh, it's probably a husband of somebody, because I just fuck everything that moves in town.
Yeah. I fuck and then I drink and then I don't remember.
Then I fly away. Like, oh, where am I now? I don't matter. Find me something to fuck. So, he ends up, that's when he puts two and two together. He says, wait, those people chasing us earlier, those weren't some, like, husbands of wives I fucked or whatever. They're after you. And that guy you came with, he's not here. What happened to him? He's fucking dead? And then that's where he pieces it all together, like, what the fuck you get me into? They destroyed my other plane. My current plane's all shot up. This and that. You stupid lying bitch. This whole kind of scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of like, they have a lot of like that kind of like, almost like that Indiana Jones sort of struggle. Like, they got that like tension build of like this romance kind of thing going on. Because I notice a lot of movies that kind of like try to do the Indiana Jones thing, they almost become more romances than they are like, well, I mean, not more than the other stuff, but, you know, like, Indiana Jones had, like, a little bit of romance. Like, that was just, like, a subgenre of a subgenre in the movie, where I noticed, like, Romancing the Stone and then High Road to China, they both, like, the romance is almost a little bit bigger of a part in the movie.
Definitely. And then they get to China to find her dad is still alive, and then, but they by this point, the mechanic and the girl they met in the Afghanistan camp stay behind. They go to China, just Selleck and Bess Armstrong, and they're looking around. They get arrested, and they meet her father. He's been alive all these years, and he's helping, trying to lead this revolution against a crooked Chinese general. And
Tom Selleck's got one of the best lines when he yells out that. He's like, "Take that, you baby rapers!"
When they get into that big battle, yeah.
I just thought that was just so...
Well, what's funny is because then they're just kind of hanging out here for a while, and there's just this moment that's just... it's like, it's probably nothing, but I just can't help but find it funny. Okay, so they get into this big fight. He says, like, no, we're leaving tomorrow, fuck this place. Because what we learn is he has a talk with her father. Her father's like, so what? He can take the company. It's no big deal if he takes the company. What do you mean? Like, she'll lose all her money. Like, he'll get the company, but I still have all the patents. The patents go to her name. She'll be fine. She's going to make more money than him. She'll be doing fine. So right there, it says, it doesn't fucking matter that the guy sacrificed his life for this girl. The old guy at the beginning, like, don't worry, ma'am, I'll protect you. Oh,
I'll take that knife. Oh, it hurts so much.
Poor little Indian kid was just fucking beaten and interrogated for this fucking white chick who's gonna get all this shit taken care of in patents. All this shit, all this fucking death, and she's gonna get the fucking money anyway.
It goes to show, it's just like, this is like totally like what happens when you have kind of like communications. Because that's really what this movie's all about. It's just like, hey, it's not like you can pick up a phone and call somebody, or you can send an email, or even really send a message, technically. Like, there's no way you can really get that by, so you have to just go out and find out for yourself. And a lot of times those answers are like, oh shit, that's it? Oh, it would have been nice if you had just sent, like, a telegram or something, but thanks.
That one part, yeah. I always like to imagine somewhere, whenever you see the telegram, I always like to imagine just someone just like, at some point during that time, someone had to be sexting through that. Just beep, beep, beep. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Just like one guy hunched over trying to hide his boner at the counter. Like, oh, because only so many people can understand all the beeps and all that.
Well, yeah, it's probably one of those ones, like, probably, like, if you get the job as that, that's all you do all day long anyways, so you get
just
probably
like,
bored at some point.
Anybody out there? Yeah.
It's just like a CB
You
radio.
lady?
That's
good. Yeah, it's good.
That's what CB radio used to be back in the day. It was almost like the original internet chat rooms.
Yeah, so this thing, I don't know, I just imagine there to be someone out there just like on like doing a telegram, just like sexting all day when they're really bored.
Yeah, just at the old railroad, just waiting for a package to come.
Yeah. I got my own package. Yeah. No, so then he goes to talk to her. He's just like, yeah, we can fucking stay. Your father doesn't need us. He'll be fine. Let's get the fuck out of here, because we're in the middle of a war zone. And she's like, no, I can't stay. I have to help him, because he's my father, this and that. Like, you're crazy, bitch. You're fucking crazy, all this. Mm-hmm. And then, after this big fight, Selleck walks out of the house, and then you hear, like, a stray missile of some kind, and it hits the side of another house. She's like, I hate you, I never want to see you again. And she runs out there, he's like, oh, Tom Selleck. She's helping him, and then he leans up and kisses her. He's like, oh, you dog! And their argument about a potential relationship starts up again. But while that's going on, you got a bunch of Chinese people running over to this house that just got hit, going, Yang! Yang!
I know, it's just like, he's fucking dead! No! And, they're like, load up the catapults! Because it's still at that time period.
Just hear like just for all they know, like someone's kid just got fucking mangled by a fucking
like an entire
missile and
apartment
debris.
building just went down.
And he's just like, I'm sorry, I just needed a kiss. Let's go walk over here. We got white people problems. And like over there, just all these people like, oh my god, the fucking building, the whole fucking building, it's gone.
Yeah, I know, just freaking out and so on. What I like about these like war scenes too, because this is what makes World War I always kind of a neat looking as far as a battlefield goes, is because it has a mix between having like old and new technology all at the same time. Like, it's like you could still see somebody get speared in World War I, while at the same time you could see a missile get fired off too. It's kind of like an interesting time period.
Yeah, it is kind of like this weird fusion at times.
But yeah, it's just like they go, oh, whatever, let's go inside and whatnot. It's cool. I think Yang's okay,
Well, there's even that
where
part,
there's
like,
one, there's probably 20 others.
There's that part when like they're talking about like when he's talking to her dad, and you can see they both drink, and they have some little kid on his shoulders wearing like a military hat. They just found that kid on the side of the road. Like, you know what? I always wanted to be a pirate. Guess what? You're my fucking parrot.
Just fucking fed him a bunch of alcohol.
Come on, kid, let's get going.
Come on, little yo-yo. You're my drinking buddy tonight.
Nick Nolte as Bess Armstrong's dad.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta go. That's how I like it. It's just almost once too. It's like he's just here. It's like, oh, I found a place where I could like conduct war, and nobody's gonna tell me how or why I can't do it.
You'd see he's just more into the adventure of it more than he has some kind of bond with the people. You see that, but it seems more like, come on, let's just go kill something. Let's go kill something. It'll be fun.
Yeah, this is just like totally like he found just some war game spot that he could continue. Like he's like, man, I always wanted to be a part of World War I, and due to my money, I wasn't able to do it. But here on this Chinese border, nobody cares what I do. I got free reign to plan whatever I want. Be just like my favorite novels. Like totally, that's what he's out there doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, he has more ideas than every one of these Chinese guys here. I don't know how that possibly is, but clearly
he's got there, cracked his knuckles, like, move aside, Chang. I got this.
It just takes a little bit of American ingenuity here to help save China.
Well, I think we may have said this off the air. I don't know if we said it during the show. One of the main productions that helped make this was Golden Harvest, which is a Chinese film production. They did all of most of Bruce Lee's movies.
Yeah, and a lot, like, pretty much it seems like any martial arts movie you watch from China between, like, 50s on, almost like even nowadays, because I still see it all the time on there. You know, there's a lot of movies that are under that. It's like the Warner Brothers, as you said, of probably China when you really get down to it. Hell, it's probably like the Disney of China nowadays. Probably buying out all the other companies there.
Very like whenever Warner Brothers, like, because I sent a message to you, like, Warner Brothers just got WWE Happy Easter. And you're like, motherfucker! I wonder, like, you know, over there in China, they just buy something like fucking Golden Harvest.
Yeah, just buying out everything that we know and love, you know, and so on. But, well, yeah, this movie was like that kind of like, it was a Warner Brothers movie, it was a Golden Harvest movie, it had like a couple other companies, I think, all involved, too, because, you know, it's like they shot it all over the place, too, which is kind of, you know, it was around the world shoot. It wasn't just like one of those ones like, we just found some locations in the Warner Brothers backlot that happen to look like this.
What's this thing with these kind of movies? When you, now it's just easy as hell just to CG a plane or whatever, or have someone like in a cockpit on a green screen. But here they have a lot of, I just imagine just the level of work it takes. Like, okay, today is all the aviation stuff, so let's get these just perfect, lined up, you know, just that idea right there. Like, I imagine that's probably one thing. I mean, I don't know if the movie was a flop or not, but I imagine that right there made it really costly. And, like, another one of these fucking things?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing I almost like feel like that's what you really miss out on a lot of modern movies. Is you just don't get that, because, you know, nowadays it's just like, we need to go to this cool location. Whatever, send one guy over there, we'll CG the rest of the characters in. It's fine. You know, or it's like, you know, planes, it's like, almost like they probably would never shoot real planes too often anymore. It's like, that's kind of a rarity. And it's like, that's what makes sometimes these old movies cool. It's like, oh, look, there's actual people flying actual planes around. Like, it sounds simple enough as is, but it's almost like it's a lost art, really, when you think about it.
Well, Dunkirk was the first movie in a long time to actually use real planes and all that. So, and the fact there are all these old-ass planes, too, from the 40s.
Yeah, exactly, and so on. So it is kind of that interesting thing there. But I guess getting to the end of this movie and how it kind of goes is they get in this cool, like, war scene between the two battles, and Bess wakes up early in the morning and takes the plane out, and she's like, I'm going to go help my dad and help win this war. So she goes down and she starts, like, bombing them and shooting them up and everything like that and blowing the living daylights out of their camp down below. And, of course, the dad's like, what the fuck, Tom? You said you were taking her out of here, you fucking asshole. What was all that drinking last night? It's like, well, that drinking last night's why I didn't wake up in time.
It's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good time.
We found a child.
We said we were going to adopt him together. And then we realized it was 1920, and that wouldn't work out. It was a good plan.
I was gonna have him on the weekends. For all I know, he was someone else's kid that was just lost in the street. But shit,
I don't know. It could have been in that apartment like explosion we heard last night.
Yeah, maybe he was an orphan. Maybe you're doing some good. I don't know. Either way, I already missed Yingpeng. What happened to him?
Oh, he actually overdosed last night.
On opium.
Yeah.
He seemed like they have a high tolerance. He was 4. Well, shit, he was hanging in there better than I would have at that age.
Wait, how long? When I was carrying him on my shoulder, was he alive or dead at that point?
I thought he just like vomited on me just because he just drank too much. But shit, I'm now putting 2 and 2 together.
You know, well, whatever. Go get her back. Here's a horse and a gun. Go get my daughter. It'll be like a Western movie.
Yeah, because it does suddenly go down because she's over there flying around, dropping bombs on their artillery and all that. And for a while, Selleck's like, no, you're dropping it too early. You're dropping it too soon. Come on. He's just trying to... They don't have radios to reach her at the moment. So he's just like, come on. And then she finally gets one of the cannons by dropping these bombs. And like, fuck yeah! And then she gets taken down. He gets a machine gun, goes on horseback... And they get into
he doesn't even get the machine gun because he gets a machine gun off the plane. So first he just gets a 6-shooter, and he goes out there like a Western movie, shooting these Chinese guys going towards the saber. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of cool though because he does rip the machine gun off the top of the plane and starts using it, which I'm like, that's badass.
That is pretty awesome, yeah. And they just get into this shootout, which is pretty cool. But then it just like got in the shootout. It panned out. Cool. Hey, yeah, hug me.
Well, I like because he has that joke. He's like, should have sold you that boy in Afghanistan. That was the one mistake of my journey.
Oh, Tom! Oh, Chris.
Tom just has the most serious face. He doesn't change expression.
I should have sold you to that boy back in Afghanistan.
Did you see how many rupees he had in that barrel?
Do you realize how many bushes he had to cut to get those? How many rocks he had to lift and find them?
You know how those guys are. That's what they do. They just run around with a sword all day long, breaking pots and cutting grass and finding rupees.
There's not many out there, too. He saw it. It was dry as fuck. There was a lot of sand.
I mean, probably he has slaves doing it for him. You know, you can see he looks like one of those kind of guys who probably doesn't do a whole lot of his own work.
He was a little bit of a rich kid. He had that kind of vibe to him. But shit, there's a lot. I mean, fuck, that's at least a month's worth of, like, breaking pots and, like, cutting. I played by Zelda back in 1920, so I know what I'm talking about.
So, you know, I really think that I could have got out of this jam and made a whole lot of money, and this movie could have been over way quicker if I would have just sold you off. Just saying.
She cuts him off, just start making out credits.
He's like, give me sugar, baby. And that's all I guess. It just kind of has that, like, oh, okay, there's no extended endings. Like, boom, that's it. That's the movie. Call it good. We won this war. Who knows what happened to our other compadres as time has gone on? It really needed, like, one of those, like, Animal House-like things where at the end it's like, oh, okay, what happened to all the characters? Like, and our poor Indian boy got tortured to death for 12 days straight. The entire length of that journey, that kid was tortured.
I just have some... Because I'm just thinking about, like, they'd always have that, they freeze frame on the character and say, like... Because that's the thing about American Graffiti. You watch American Graffiti, and that movie leaves you feeling good. And then it just starts going through the bios. Just like, oh, Ron Howard just, left town, got married, and opened up a business with his lady. So-and-so, did, I don't remember, like, so-and-so went off and did this, and then just like, this nerdy kid got fucking shot and killed in Vietnam, and this kid got killed in a drunk driving accident.
Yeah, it's like that. That was the one where I was like, what? Like, it's like, well, it's like, I get it, like, in Animal House when they do it, and they say, like, they're like, because the douchebag in the movie, it's like, he was shot in Vietnam by his own troops, because it's supposed to be like, he got what he deserved. But yeah, that one is like, the drunk driving one, because I remember it's like, wasn't that just like one of the normal characters, too? It wasn't even like...
He was the main character, he was like one of the, four main characters.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was a bad guy or anything. He was just like,
You got Ron Howard, who is basically your straight man. You had Richard Dreyfuss, who's kind of the comic relief. I want to say you got the super nerdy guy, and then you got the bad boy character. And I haven't seen the movie in a long time, so I don't really... I want to say Richard Dreyfuss is trying to talk to Wolfman. I think that's his whole arc. You got the bad boy who's carrying the girl around with him the whole time, who's kind of a tomboy, who's kind of looking out for her. And he does a lot of racing, and then he's trying to straighten up his act by the end, but then someone kills him in a drunk driving accident a couple years later. It's just like... I mean, this was such a fun, feel-good movie, and then you just drop that shit at the end. Like, George was like, yeah, not everyone makes it out alive. That's fucking life.
That's like if Dazed and Confused ended, and it's like, hey, here's this real fun movie about what it was like to be in the 70s, and then all of a sudden they just have all these characters have these, like, horrible, like, nothing good kind of happens. You know? Just, and like, one of these, the stoner kid, he was actually shot and murdered in his own town because it's Texas.
Well, it's like if
he was dragged behind a truck for 15 blocks.
He was this guy was on the plane United 93 or whatever.
Yeah, just this like horrible ending and so on like that. But or almost like that's because that's sort of how like Ed Wood ends, but that's like real life. So it's like okay, like that's really what happened to these characters because that's how that movie is. Like when it goes through and explains what happens to everybody, it's like everybody had like fucking shitty like afterlives. Like this Ed Wood moment of making movies in the 50s was like the only good part. It's all downhill from this point on.
I just like to one of those things that have that super cheesy. I mean, this would have to be like maybe late 90s, early 2000s, but have that song, hey, you got the music in you, don't let go. Like playing that song with saying, like freeze framing on each character, like so-and-so was brutally fucking murdered in a back alley. Or then go over here. Like, this person fell into a gorilla cage and was raped to death or whatever.
Yeah. This character started his own business, then went bankrupt, and now lives under, like, an alley.
Sucking cock for warmth.
Yeah, for free. He doesn't even get paid anymore. Yeah. Just like nothing good happens or whatnot. But no, unlike that, though, it seems in High Road to China, everything seems to end out well unless you're the poor Indian boy.
as long as you're Tom Selleck or the girl, everything seems... Or her dad, for that matter. He's just like, yep, looks like I won. On to the next thing. No big deal.
Yeah.
Because then she crashes the plane. So they're like, okay, well, I guess it's a long walk back, isn't it? Because they left the mechanic and the other girl back in her village. Like, I guess we're walking back.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones. Well, it's one of
Road
those,
trip.
What do you think the dad did afterwards? He's like, you know what? This war was pretty fun. I'm going to go over to Japan now and tell them that China's been saying some shit about them. They better get their asses in gear, or China's going to come over and, take over Japan.
You know what?
The start of World War II was due to her dad.
So I know how they work. I can offer him some inside information. Why'd you do this? I was fucking bored. When you're rich, you're like material things just kind of lose their value to you. You just want to see some fucked up shit after a while.
I kid you not. You know these two Chinese, like, this war that's going on right here? These guys were the best of friends before I showed up. Oh my god, it's great. All I gotta do is just tell them some stories, and then say that this guy's lying about this, or this guy slept with this person, and next thing you know, just like Troy, a whole war starts up. Hilarious!
Yeah. Oh, greatest joke of all. No, I can just totally see that. Just this dude, just be like, that guy fucked your mom. What? Yeah, Wang, he fucked your mom.
That's all it takes. It's real simple, really. Starring a war doesn't take a whole lot of effort.
They don't really do a lot of research. They're very trigger happy themselves. I think that if it wasn't me, it'd be someone else. I'm just speed running this process.
They work off all emotion, They're not like us Americans. Just saying. It's not a racist thing. It's just, look at them. Look, they got a catapult set up here. It's the 1900s. They got a catapult set up here. Who the hell has a catapult? Look, we got planes over where we're at. Just saying.
I will say something fun about the low tech, though. Just
yeah, it
really
is kind of cool.
Something fun about it.
You
gotta appreciate the little things.
I'm like the Don Quixote of this generation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really into this whole thing. Hell, they wanted to use guns, and I told them, no, take these spears. It'll be funny. I mean, it'll be cool.
No, this movie was pretty fun. It was a good one. I wouldn't mind seeing another one of it, but it seems like it's probably... well, obviously it's not going to happen. But at the same time, I think this is one of the better of those Indiana Jones ripoff ones. I can't think of... I know there's a lot of those Indiana Jones ripoff ones, but none of them really ever seem that bad. It just seems, for whatever reason, maybe it's people like, it's not Indiana Jones. It's kind of like the same thing, how it's so hard to get a space opera off the ground. It's like, well, it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of it, because all the ones I've always seen were always really good, and I feel it's kind of like Die Hard ones, too. It's like, there's certain genres it's like you can just kind of use that style, and it's not a bad thing. It's not like you can really, like, make a bad movie with it. I mean, yeah, it might not be, because that's how this movie sort of is. Like, this movie's like, it's a real good movie, but it is kind of like a B-grade Indiana Jones movie, I guess, the end day. It's not nearly as classic, probably, as Indy and so on, but it's still really cool, and it still has its own stuff to it, and I feel like, yeah, it stands out, and it's not just that. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to go through history like Indiana Jones. Obviously, it's not even going through history at the moment like Indiana Jones.
It kind of gave me a little bit more of a vibe of, like, even though I can see the Indiana Jones-ness of it, and a little bit more of probably trying to pull from old adventure serials, like Doc, what's his name? Doc Savage, who I think was one of the main inspirations for Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of, it felt kind of more like Lawrence of Arabia, like that kind of thing. More of just this big, even though it's based on a true story, this big, grand scale adventure type story, rather than just kind of like the fast-paced, swashbuckling kind of feel that something like Indiana Jones has,
Mm-hmm. No, I could totally see that. And this is kind of the other interesting thing. With High Road to China, the director's Brian G. Hutton, which is the same guy who did Where Eagles Dare and Kelly's Heroes, and this is his last movie he ever made.
This definitely had some Where Eagles Dare vibes to it. We did one of his movies before, so yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, that's neat. I didn't realize he directed this one, too. But yeah, this was the last movie he kind of made. It's like, he didn't die, like, afterwards. I made sure, I was like, did he die? I was like, oh, no, he lived till, like, 2004. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me that people think of this as an Indiana Jones ripoff, but it was being made before then. And then on top of it was also just this idea that it I think knowing that it came out before that, did it, or did it? When did it?
No, it came out 2 years afterwards. It was just in development before.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, my bad.
Because Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in like 81, and then this came out in 83.
Okay, because I guess I was just wondering right here if this maybe try to pull some Indiana Jones inspiration. Like, did you guys see what they did with Raiders of the Lost Ark? Throw a little bit out of that in here if they're trying to do ape more something like Lawrence of Arabia.
Well, I heard that it's completely different than the book. The only thing that's similar in the book is going to China in a plane. So everything else is different. So of course the writer's like, oh, they didn't do my work the way I want it to, and you never really know because sometimes like writers complain about that. It's like, well, yeah, it's not your thing, but that's what's called an adaptation. And sometimes I don't know if the book's better than the movie or vice versa, but you know, I feel like you can't expect it always to be the exact same thing as your book. I don't know.
I think that it's kind of a hard thing to go with that because every so often, you know, everyone always says the book is always better, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
I think we talked last. Some people on Newgrounds are pissed off at us. I'm assuming it was what I was saying about the book because Ready Player One, I think the movie is way better than the book. Shining, I think that really just took. I think the movie took what was important and all the good stuff from the book and just condensed it down and got rid of some of the more goofier shit.
Yeah,
I can't speak on this one. But whenever you do an adaptation, you're already just trying to squeeze like roughly, probably let's lowball it here, 4 to let's say 8 hours of information into one movie. So,
well, I always say my theory for like page like a book's length to a movie length is for every 100 pages of a book, that's like an hour of a movie. Because think about it, like, you know, in most, you know, movies like Jurassic Park's like around a little over 400 pages or something like that. The movie's only like a little over 2 hours. But if you add about 2 more hours of Jurassic Park, you pretty much could have got every single scene in there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus the book it can do like whatever it wants. And kind of like, we're going to go over here for a minute. You know, pacing's not that big of a deal because when there's something different about. I mean, pacing is still important, but there's something about it when it's. I feel like you get time to just squeeze in extra shit when you don't have like a 3-act movie structure.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing, too, is I feel like pacing in books is almost like there's nobody really there to tell you, like, how to do the pacing. So that's why a book can sometimes drag on for much longer than almost necessary because there's not just a bunch of people going, like, shit, we got to, like, edit this down. We got budget restraints. We got time restraints. We got all these things like that. Where in a book, you can just keep writing until you feel like you're done and then go, here you go, editor, make sure it looks good, and let's sell it.
I mean, Chuck Palahniuk's book, Survivor, there's a whole chapter. Granted, it's a short chapter, but there's a whole chapter about preparing a lobster and dissecting a lobster and removing its heart and this and that. And it's this thing. This guy prides himself on being able to, among other things, but because he's basically he's a cook, he's a cleaner, all this kind of stuff. At some point, he's dissecting this lobster, preparing to eat it, and all this and that. And then the last thing, it's just kind of going on and on and on. He's going into all this brutal detail of killing this thing and preparing it. But he says the last minute, he sees its heart beat. It's like, oh shit, this thing was alive the whole time. Not as good as I thought I was at this. So it's this thing of like, I kind of get what you're saying there, but this was still like 3 or 4 pages, which isn't a lot, but 4 or 5, like 3 to 4 pages of a dude just going into all this detail, which didn't have a huge effect on the story, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'll say Chuck Palahniuk always feels like one of the most streamlined writers of them all. Like, 'cause his books are always like the perfect length. Like, there's no reason it needs to be too much longer than this. You know, I always feel like that's between about 200 and 400 pages. I think is always like a real good length. You know, 500 about maximum. Because I've never read a book over 500 pages that I felt like, oh yeah, that all needed to be there. Like a lot of times you read like a book, it's like 700 or 1,000 pages. You're kind of like, you know, you could have edited like quite a bit of this out. You know.
That's the thing about autobiographies. Is a lot of times it's when you read a lot of like it's probably important to them in their life, but there's some where I'm like, I don't think this needed to be here. Like I some time back, I still haven't finished it because it's so fucking thick and he just kind of gets off track. But Neil Young's autobiography, there's a part where he's talking about like it's all kind of out of order, and then he stops to take 2 to 3 pages to say, I know this thing's out of order, and some people may not like it, but if you don't like it, just pass it on to someone else. It's just like, I paid fucking $24 for this fucking book.
I ain't passing it on to somebody else until I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I already bought a lot of your fucking albums. I already paid to see you twice in fucking concert. Don't tell me just to give your fucking book away.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like, some people might not like the structure, but fuck them. You know what? They're not a good fan
my
then.
book.
That's who it is. He's not part of the Neil Army.
yeah. Wanna wait?
Just about 3 pages of him just saying, like, fuck those fans who don't like what I do. Just
No,
want to get that out.
He does go, and we'll get back on to movies and the book comparison in a second. I will say he does have this thing, again, which is like, you make what you want. The second you start making something for somebody else and try to please people, you've kind of lost your way, and there's not much gratification in that, so just make what you want, and that was kind of his point. My point is, you got a story going, and you go back like, oh, remember we're on chapter 12 now. Remember this one little thing that happened back in chapter 2? Like, oh, fuck, we're back to here? Because he'll, like, go back. He has multiple stories going on, but jump back to different points of his life. I'm getting off topic here, though. But anyway, as far as book structure goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, have you read a whole lot on the different comparisons between the book to the movie and all that?
I didn't see anything on that. Like, I thought that was going to come up on stuff, and it just never really came up. All it was that the author's like, yeah, they had planes, but that was about it.
I can see some stuff, I mean, without even really doing a whole lot of research into it, I could see it being something like, because there's a time where, now it's like, based on the best-selling, like New York Times bestseller, and it's like a big fucking book or whatever, and I could see this being back in the 70s, like, it's just some random paperback book that we came across, we're gonna make a movie out of it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it was, because, like, just like how people, like, buy up, like, comic book rights and video game rights left and right, in that time period, it was just like, there's this book, it sold somewhat well, buy it. Let's get the rights. Let's get the rights before fucking Disney does.
Well, it's like some of the stuff you hear. Like, I was listening to Dan Harmon, who's friends with Rob Lowe, talk about when, like, Scud got bought by Oliver Stone's company, and they're going to make that into a movie. Like, oh my god, just a couple guys from the Midwest. Oliver Stone is going to make a movie based on our character, and they already spent, $10,000 to punch up a script and do all this and do all that. There's no way they're turning it down now. Like, no, we spent $10,000 to talk and see how it'll happen. It's not happening. Oh, really? Okay.
And then they shelve it, and then from that point on, it's like it can't go anywhere because they own it. And that's kind of the bummer of it all. It's like, once they shelve something, you're kind of screwed until somebody else either pulls it, blows the dust off it or something. But it's always kind of a bummer like that. That's
gotta be one of those things, like, you sell a script and you make some money, but then it's like, man, I really want someone to see this fucking thing one day.
Well, this is an interesting one. This comes for this kind of a little bit off topic, but with Super Troopers, when they gave that to Harvey Weinstein, he like, generally it was supposed to be like a Weinstein production, Miramax, and he read the script and he's all like, I don't get it, but I don't understand comedy. And most of the time, this would just get shelved. But since I like you guys enough, take the script and go make it somewhere else. So that movie almost could have been shelved, and that would have been the end of that story.
I just think it's funny how Harvey Weinstein's like, I don't understand comedy. All I understand is fucking. Yeah, we know Harvey. You just hear something just.
Comedy, though the first movie me and my brother ever tried to make was a comedy.
I can just see just
movie,
like.
But
Well, just the idea of, just because you said it's about like a couple of college kids trying to start up a party house or whatever, just like, there's drinking and there's boobs. Do they find that funny? Like, they're just almost kind of like a robot that can't compute.
Well, it's just so weird to be like, okay, I'm a producer. I don't understand this one major genre.
Yeah, this thing that brings a lot of money to our studio.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I always say there's 4 main genres in film or comics and storytelling in general. You got action, drama, comedy, and horror. Pretty much every single movie fits in that. Yeah, there's subcategories past that point, but they all fit into one of those 4. So it's just weird to be this producer and go like, yeah, I don't really get the comedy section. I only go after the action and drama. My brother does the horror.
Well, to bring it back into this for a second, I'm surprised this movie didn't have as much comedy. I guess I went in thinking there'd be a lot more of, there's comedy that we both made for ourselves, and just, like, finding a boy on the street, like, this is mine now, or whatever. But, for the most part, I'm surprised this movie, it wasn't, like, super intense or dark, but I was expecting to be a little bit more lighthearted than it was at moments.
Yeah, and it's almost a little bit more, and I guess you could say the drama side than anything else. It stays in that. I know it's another interesting thing too is that when this movie, when it was originally started, they were going to get Roger Moore to play in it, which would have been kind of cool in itself.
Roger Moore, yeah, that would have been interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, you could see.
Especially, I mean, I think it's always kind of funny. Like Tom Selleck is like, "All right, listen here, kid," or "Listen here, squirt."
Yeah.
Let's fuck.
Come on. Me and your dad just tag teamed a boy last night. I think he was dead, so I'm not too sure in China if that's okay, but we thought he was just, I don't know, we thought we were just having a good time at the party, you know? I
saw
thought
some
it was customary to, like, you know, sleep with, like, a boy. I mean, I know I shouted at that guy the next day about baby raping and, you know, but, you know, little Yo-Yo was already, he was already in for it, you know? I mean, like...
Let me tell you, he lived up to that name. He did go back and forth,
You know? First he was a parrot, and then after I started feeding him, like, opium... I thought I'd feed him my cock.
By the handfuls.
He just went to town at it. Like, I don't know. He looked hungry to me. I was like, well, he's not an English parrot, so I guess I gotta feed him. What do Chinese people eat? Dog and opium, I guess? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, they're fresh out of dog. I saw that this morning.
Yeah. You can literally see it, like, in their camps. They're just cooking it wild right there. But no,
I went to pet. I was like, best not get too attached to this thing. I went to go pet one.
Yeah. They don't have that rule of man's best friend here. It's kind of weird when you think about it.
Man's best meal here.
Yeah. Which, I'm not going to lie, actually is pretty good. I don't know why the States we don't eat them. Just saying.
I mean, what good's a Chihuahua, really? Is that thing to protect your fucking lawn? No. I mean, we can keep German Shepherds and Huskies. Those things are cool. But smaller ones, come on now.
You can put Chihuahua, it'd be right in a Taco Bell taco right there.
Yeah. Oh, shit! This gave me an idea. Give me their advertisers on the line now.
You know, we got to get this going. But no, overall, this is a cool movie, and I think it's just one of those ones that, sadly enough, got lost in time, but it's well worth checking out as long as you enjoy older movies and period pieces, and especially if you like cool dog fights, because that does not like real dog fights like in China, but dog fights in the air. I thought I should specify that after our whole like dog eating stuff.
Yeah,
but they got cool plane battles and just neat stuff like that. Like, I think it's just overall, it's kind of a cool story. You know, not the most perfect movie, but still like really fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely worth checking out. It's if you like good old kind of like fashion pre-World War II adventure movies, definitely check this out.
But you just don't get a whole lot of pre-World War II stuff anyways. That's for as big of a war, for it be called the Great War, it sure isn't the greatest movie plays.
Well, it is kind of like, I guess, World War II happens, and that was kind of like history's Empire Strikes Back. Like, no, dude, this is the best one. No sense of going back to any other one.
Yeah, exactly. Then Vietnam came, and it was like, to a lot of people, that was like Return of the Jedi, I guess. I'm not too sure.
Like, it was a lot more in a greener environment. Wasn't as fun that time around.
It had things that were like Ewoks. They were like very violent Ewoks with like bombs. Their children would walk into a camp with a grenade in his hand. It was kind of like that scene in Endor, kind of. You know the part where they blow up the AT-ST? Well, yeah, that's sort of how it felt when I was in my helicopter.
Oh, you're on your own on that one.
You started with the Star Wars analogy. I didn't know where else I was gonna go with it.
Yeah, I got the ball rolling. I didn't know you were gonna. I thought you were gonna kick it back. I thought you were gonna like mine.
But no, check out High Road to China. We'll put a little link in the podcast description if you want to find it on DVD or Blu-ray, and get a copy of it on Amazon. Support the podcast all at the same time, and it won't cost you an extra penny. Fun stuff to be had there. But till then, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, comics, movies, videos, and more, and so on. Check out Pizza Boys. The graphic novel is out. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Be sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, animations, videos, and a whole lot more. You can easily support the show by buying something from one of our Amazon links on the website or in the show's description itself. Doesn't cost you a penny, but every single thing you buy from there just by using that link to take you to Amazon helps us out a bit. You can also really help the show out, though, by spreading the word the good old-fashioned way. and rate and review us on all the sites that you find this podcast. Anything from iTunes to Podbean to Newgrounds, YouTube, you name it. Any little bit helps. Give a sub and share it to your friends, family, any jamoke you see out on the street. You let them know about Old Man Orange Podcast. And be sure to check out the Old Man Orange comic book Pizza Boys on both Amazon and Comixology. Till then, we'll see you some other time.